Hi everyone and welcome to another tutorial. This one is of a dog's nose in graphite and this is the reference photo. It is in colour, but I've changed it, I've edited it so it's in black and white just so it's easier to draw from again. I'll leave the link to the photo in the description below. It's another one from Pixabay, which is a website I use all the time. It just has royalty-free images which you're allowed to just use references. So yeah, this is the nose sketched up, and then again, same as the one from last week of the cat's nose, I'm using the same Caran D'ache Graftwood Pencils and these mechanical pencils, and then also the black coloured pencil. I'll link all of the things that I've used in the description below as well. So yeah, let's just make a start. So I'm going to start off with a 4B, and I'm just going to go over all the darkest sections again, which is usually what I like to do. Just like to map out where the darkest areas are. That's usually how I always start off when using graphite, because I just find it the easiest way and the easiest starting point when you don't know where to start. Don't press too hard at the beginning either. I just press lightly and then I layer up as I go. I can adjust the darkness of it as I go along with the drawing. I just find that's always easier in case I make a mistake or something. It's easier to rub out if I only press lightly. Dogs' noses tend to have a lot of texture in this area here, so we will be adding that as well. I usually add the texture kind of at the end, so I just do base layers and that to start with, but anyway, you'll see as I draw it. And feel free to follow along as well. As I said, I've left the reference photo linked in the description, so you can use the same reference photo that I'm using. I also just map out a few of the small details as I go, just to give me a base so I know kind of where everything is. When I do the rough outline to start with, I literally draw the very, very basic outline and then I add all the details a bit later on. Your base sketch can be as plain or as detailed as you like, it just depends what you find easiest. It's completely up to you, there's no right or wrong. Chose this reference photo to work from mainly because of the amount of texture in this one. You can see all the little bumps in this dog's nose quite clearly, which I thought was quite a good picture to use. If you'd like me to do a tutorial with a full animal, please let me know. So I could do a whole dog or a whole cat or a whole bird or tiger or literally anything. Just give me some suggestions in the comments. always looks really weird at first, like all these weird lines and stuff, but as you get further into the drawing, it does all come together, so just trust the process. Drawings always go through quite a weird, ugly stage, so whenever you get to that stage, just push through. Keep adding more and more layers, more and more details, and you'll get there. Most of the nose is quite dark. It's not just, obviously these nostrils, they're the darkest parts, but the rest of the nose, especially down this kind of area, is quite dark and it's a bit lighter at the top. And I'm just shading it in to get a base down, just to start with. And then I'll start darkening up the areas which are darker. You're welcome to use any type of graphite pencils that you have. You don't have to use this brand specifically, that's just what I felt like using, but they all do mostly the same job. Just going to build up a little bit more darkness in this area now. I'm still just using the 4B at the moment, and when I deepen things up again, I'll move to 6B or the black coloured pencil. So I'm just moving the light in. Still trying to learn where's best to place my lights, because I've got a light either side of me, but if you put them too bright or too close to the drawing, it looks washed out. And obviously I've got this shadow going on, like all this shadow, which I'm trying to figure out how to prevent that, but yeah, just trial and error at the moment. For the base, I'm just sort of doing like a kind of circular-ish motions, pressing really, really lightly. There's the base down. Now I'm going to start to darken up these nostrils. Do I want to go in with that yet? No. I'm going to go in with the 6B. It's just a bit of a darker pencil. I will go in with a coloured pencil, but I'm thinking maybe not quite yet. I usually like to layer up slowly. Pressing slightly harder now, but still not too hard. This is really deep. There we are, top of the mouth. Shade it in, and I'll do some detail on that a bit later. And there's a darker patch underneath the nose. That. I'm not used to drawing noses quite this big. Normally I do them really, I don't know, the whole nose would be like just this size. Because normally I don't do it quite as enlarged as this, but it's easier to show you what I'm doing if I do it a bit larger. This bit here does have some shading in as well, but not quite as dark as this bit. Okay, now I think I'm going to start to go in with the darker colour. This is the coloured pencil. And then I'm going to deepen up this area and add some detail there. I don't always draw things like this in the same order. I kind of just, I don't know, have a process on my mind of, oh, maybe I should do this bit next. I don't know. It changes every time. But I always do start with the kind of darker areas when using graphite. Some of the detail, and then I'm going back in with the 4B to add in some more of the detail around the nose, this middle bit. Add in some of the little lines. And so just deepen up this bit right by the central line a little bit more as well. It's always hard to know how dark to go at first, but you kind of just build it up slowly and then you'll know when it looks right. Usually if your artwork's not looking super realistic, could be because you haven't gone dark enough in the darker areas. Sometimes you need to go a bit darker than you think you do. And a couple good ways to tell is you can like squint at your drawing, and if the dark areas, yeah, you can kind of see more when you squint if the dark areas stand out a lot or not. And also compare it to the black and white version of the reference photo side by side and see if the dark bits are dark enough or if you need to deepen them up any more. This underneath is dark as well, and there's a little white strip here, so I'm going to leave that. Okay. Same with this side, there's a little paler bit at the top. Show you close up there what it's looking like at the moment. I'll darken up the other nostril again in a second. Just sort of doing a bit of the area around it first. Back in with the black colour pencil. Pressing quite a bit harder now, putting some more pressure on the pencil just to get things looking a little bit darker. As I've said before in some of my other videos, you could always use a marker or some sort of pen to deepen up these dark areas, the really black bits. But I've never actually tried that myself. I have seen quite a lot of other people do that, and it seems to look good and work quite well. It is potentially something I would try. I just don't really have a good black kind of marker pen, so I can't really do that unless I bought one. Yeah. If not, just keep pressing as hard as you can. I mean, I've got it looking quite dark. Sorry, just made a weird gurgling noise. Just ignore that if the camera picked that up. And this bit here is quite shaded quite lightly, so just go over that. Okay, and then I'm trying to think what it's supposed to do next. I might start adding some more shading to this area here. And then this bit here is quite dark as well, so I'm just going to deepen that up. That, and then yeah, go back to this. I'm using the 4B at the moment, and some more circular motions. And then I've got a little kneaded eraser here, which is just a squishy kind of rubber. Just going to dab here slightly, just to lift a little bit up, because I want to just lighten this area around the nostril up. Just because you can kind of lift a bit of the colour up with these, so I recommend this. I use this for my pastel drawings as well sometimes. Just find it really handy to have. Just slightly here, not as much, just to create a little bit of light. Again. And then here I've left quite light anyway, and I will kind of shade it a little bit, but not yet. Just going to add in some of these textured bits. A bit darker around the nostril, and then they get lighter the further up the nose you get. And I'm still just using the 4B for this bit. 4B is probably my most used pencil because it's sort of in the middle of the darkness range. Bits of texture don't have to be perfect. I sort of just add in random little blobs that kind of represents the texture you see on the nose. It doesn't have to be identical to what you actually see. No one would notice if one of the bits are out of place or whatever. And with the 6B, I'm just going to darken up a couple of the bits around the nostril, just because that's where they seem to be the darkest, and around this area here. This bit here is really dark as well, so I'm deepening that up even more. I do often keep going over the same bits again, but I'm just deepening and adjusting bits as I go. This section here is not completely white, but it is very light compared to the rest of the areas, so I'm just deepening it up a little bit, but leaving it pretty bright. Okay, so that is the main of the nose done. And then I'm just going to do this little bit of fur around the nose. So I'm going to speed up this bit because the main focus of the tutorial is on the actual nose itself, but I will include the rest of it in the video, just a bit more sped up.